Chapter 61 Hai Bodong's Shock. You are listening at novelfull.audio. No. Queen Medusa replied coldly, never again. Such a cold and proud Queen Medusa is naturally the same as in the original book, but the person she treats and the aura she produces are also completely different. If Li Xiao helps the snake people rebuild their homeland, then he will really become a friend of the snake people. The four elders have also mentioned that this person will try his best to make friends and not be an enemy. Queen Medusa looked at the master of the Tiange Pavilion wearing a ghost mask from the corner of her eye, and murmured in her heart, "Can he really help my snake-human race find a new home?" After 2 days of flying, they finally came to the outskirts of the Great Tagore Desert. Because Li Xiao wanted to find Qinglian, he had to take Medusa to the location where Bodong, the Ice Emperor, was first. At this moment, the Ice Emperor Haiba, who was practicing, opened his eyes suddenly, and when he felt an unstoppable aura, he also rushed out of the room immediately. With the fighting spirit running, he grasped it slightly, and the surrounding icy mist condensed rapidly, and finally solidified into an ice-blue ice spear in his palms. After condensing his fighting chi into an ice spear, Hai Bodong still felt a little unsafe. He quickly formed a seal with one hand, and then said softly, "Ice spirit armor." Hai Bodong, who had recovered from the Dohuang, thought he wouldn't feel any danger, but the aura coming from a distance made him unable to react at all. Hai Bodong's breathing also became more rapid, but when he saw that it was Li Xiao, he was about to breathe a sigh of relief, but found that Li Xiao was followed by two beauties. Even if Hai Bodong dies, he will never forget the Dou Hua Yi at the head, the strong snake human, Queen Medusa. It turned out to be Medusa, the damned guy, who actually brought back such a strong person. "This is trying to kill me." The Ice Emperor Hai Bodong's face was solemn, but he still summoned his fighting spirit and transformed into wings, and flew in mid-air, waiting for Pavilion Master Li Xiao. From afar, he could feel the breath of Queen Medusa, which reminded him of the past. At the same time, Queen Medusa has also noticed that Bodong, the Ice Emperor not far away, immediately showed a fierce look, which is vivid in the past. "Hai Bodong, it's you again." Queen Medusa stopped slowly, her face was icy cold. "I remember saying that the next time we meet, you should know what will happen." The blood-red battle chi burst out suddenly, and Hai Bodong also took 2 steps back under this astonishing deterrent force. His eyes flashed with astonishment. Li Xiao said, "Queen Medusa is safe and don't be impatient. The Ice Emperor is my friend. The past has long passed. I hope the Queen will not blame her." Queen Medusa cast a glance at the Ice Emperor. She naturally had to consider Pavilion Master Li Xiao's words, but she didn't expect that Hai Bodong had recovered the Dohuang realm, which surprised her very much. Back then, Hai Bodong was hit by his own sealing technique. It seems that his ability to restore his original strength should have something to do with Li Xiao. Queen Medusa pursed her seductive red lips, and said in a low voice, "Hai Bodong, today I think I'm letting you live for Pavilion Master Li Xiao's sake. I hope you can do it yourself." The Ice Emperor Bodong is in a bad mood, and he doesn't understand what happened to the arrogant Queen Medusa, who was also subdued by Li Xiao. You know, around the Great Tagore Desert, Queen Medusa's fierce reputation is by no means inferior to her coquettish reputation. Hearing this name already made everyone frightened. Brother Li Xiao Qinglian shyly walked over with her little hands behind her back. "Why did you come back, Qinglian? I miss you." Although the two had only been together for a few days, for the pure-hearted Qinglian, each day was equivalent to several years. Li Xiao landed on the ground smoothly, rubbed her head lightly and said, "I'm not coming back now. Thank you, Mr. Hai, for helping me take care of Qinglian these days." "I'm sorry." Hai Bodong waved his hand. "Forget it, it's just a favor, just come back later." Queen Medusa and Yume also came over. Yume looked at the shy Qinglian, and couldn't help being surprised. It turned out to be the offspring of snake people and humans. After Qinglian saw Medusa, she also hid behind in fear. Under the suppression of her blood, Qinglian had already felt that this person was the strong snake-human race, Queen Medusa. Medusa glanced at the shy Qinglian, ignoring whether Qinglian was a descendant of the snake-human race and the human race hall, but shifted her gaze to Li Xiao, and said flatly, "When shall we set off?" "You can do it any time." Li Xiao asked Hai Bodong, "Old Hai, have you packed all your things? Hai Bodong nodded and replied, of course, I have already started packing up after you left, and now I am waiting for your return. We can return to the Jia Empire. Now that he hasn't been back for 20 years, in people's hearts, he is already dead. However, he who has returned to Dohuang naturally cannot let go of such a good opportunity to act aggressively. No matter what you say, you have to challenge those guys. Li Xiao hugged Qinglian with one hand, and sat on the back of the amethyst-winged Lion King. That was also the first time for Qinglian to ride a sixth-order monster, and she was a little timid in her heart. The amethyst-winged Lion King didn't have any complaints either, and the people who wanted to ride him were all insiders of the Dengtian Pavilion. Since the pavilion master and Qinglian are considered brothers and sisters, he naturally wouldn't say anything. Flying in the sky, blue sky, white clouds, the feeling of the wind beating on the face, made Qinglian unconsciously open her arms, feeling the taste of nature. This was the first time she flew in midair to watch the blue sky and white clouds up close. The beautiful scenery made her eyes moist. Li Xiao lowered her head and said softly, "What's the matter, is it too fast?" Qinglian shook her head, her voice was choked with sobs. No. Qinglian has never felt like this, nor thought that one day I will be able to fly. Li Xiao smiled softly, this girl is really cute, but since she likes heights, let the amethyst-winged Lion King continue to increase the height until it breaks through the billowing clouds. The Ice Emperor Bodong turned his head to look at the barefoot Lianxue who was walking in the sky and said, "Senior Lianxue, does Pavilion Master Li Xiao love children so much?" Lianxue looked at the two people in the clouds, and smiled softly. The master of the pavilion is also a child. Hai Bodong smacked his lips. The owner of Dengtian Pavilion is still a child. How could he not believe it? Poor Xue didn't explain too much, but followed the pavilion master closely, for fear that something might happen to the pavilion master. Queen Medusa's tail suddenly exerted force, and her charming figure was revealed as she fluttered her wings and flew. The annoying Hai Bodong thought back to the woman who made him want to protect him for the rest of his life. If she was still there, the children of the two would probably have grown up. End of this chapter. Chapter 62 Queen Medusa's Choice. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After several days of trekking, Li Xiao and the others finally left the Tagore Desert and returned to the Warcraft Mountains in the east of the Jia Empire. Sunset and dusk, the mountains are like daisies. Queen Medusa had mixed feelings in her heart, sitting quietly by the lake, feeling the cold lake wind hitting her face, and looking at the green mountains in the distance. The heart is like blue waves, rippling. The sparkling lake was sparkling, and Medusa stretched out her right hand. Unconsciously, touching the surface of the water lightly, feeling the strange touch that the lake brought her, the Ice Emperor Bodong was also amazed by the scenery in front of him. He never thought that in 20 years, the Warcraft Mountains would still have such a beautiful and moving scenery. The pink petals flutter with the wind, making people unable to extricate themselves as if they are in a 9-day fairyland. Especially when the surroundings are full of twitches, it is simply a good place to practice. Hai Bodong swallowed his saliva, and unconsciously walked forward with both legs, passing through a dense peach blossom forest. The destination of this trip, Dengtian Pavilion, comes into view. The majestic 6-story attic, each floor is carved with dense runes, adding a bit of mystery to the already majestic auction house. The sacred and inviolable aura also startled the birds and beasts in all directions, and they all showed terrifying expressions. Hai Bodong was horrified. Is this the background of Dengtian Pavilion? I didn't expect to see an auction house of this level in my lifetime. Even if I died, it was worth it. The tall Niu Meng came out from Dengtian Pavilion, because he was relatively tall, at least a head taller than Hai Bodong, and bent down to look at the white-haired man in front of him. Hai Bodong swallowed, half-stepped Dou Zun. Niu Meng said loudly, "You are one of the top 10 powerhouses of the Jia Empire, the Ice Emperor Bodong." Niu Meng and others had already discovered them when they entered within 50 miles of Dengtian Pavilion. Under the pavilion master's explanation, everyone also understood the identities of the Ice Emperor and the others. Hai Bodong cupped his hands and saluted. "Ice Emperor Bodong, I have met this senior. In this Duki continent full of killings, in the past, the strong are respected and the weak are humbled." Although Hai Bodong is withdrawn by nature and seldom interacts with others, he also knows that the strength of the other party is superior to his own. It must be called a senior. Niu Meng put his hands on his chest, nodded with enjoyment on his face and said, "You are still a loyal person. The master of the pavilion told me to build a house for you. From now on, you can stay here." Hai Bodong didn't refuse. This place has a lot of fighting spirit, and practicing here will get twice the result with half the effort, and now he has only just recovered the Douhuang realm, so if he wants to improve his strength, he must find a place of geomantic omen. That it happened that Tiange Pavilion was the place he was looking for. Niu Meng's gaze shifted to the enchanting woman by the lake. "That is the strong snake human race, Queen Medusa, right?" Hai Bodong nodded. "That's right. She will be arranged by the pavilion master himself. Hai Bodong, just follow me." "It is good." In the Dengtian Pavilion, Li Xiao entrusted Qinglian to Linglong to take charge. From today onwards, Linglong will personally teach Qinglian to awaken her blood, so as to break through the realm as soon as possible. Naturally, Linglong would not refuse, and they would unconditionally agree to any request from the pavilion master. After explaining, Li Xiao came to the Huai River Bamboo Pavilion. At this time, Queen Medusa looked at the ripples of the lake in front of her, and her heart was calm. Here, the snake-human race will surely entrust the Queen Medusa of all ages. Li Xiao walked over with a smile, handed Queen Medusa a glass of water and said, "How? It's beautiful." Queen Medusa said flatly, "This place is the only paradise she has ever seen in her life. The air is not only filled with the smell of lake water, but also filled with the fragrance of peach blossom petals. It can be described as a beautiful place. I have arranged for someone to prepare a room for you. Today, you will stay here and practice hard. When the time is right, I will help you devour the strange fire." Queen Medusa turned her head to look at Li Xiao beside her, with mixed emotions in her heart. She has always been unwilling to trust humans. In her heart, human beings are a selfish and greedy race, even fighting each other for resources. But why did the owner of the Dengtian Pavilion in front of her give her a different idea? Sitting on the stone bench, Li Xiao looked at the green mountains and green waters in the distance, and poured wine to the moon. It can be said that he was very happy. Queen Medusa let out a deep breath. As long as she can help the snake people get out of the predicament, it will be worth everything for her as a queen. After a few days of arrangement, Queen Medusa and Ice Emperor Haibodong both lived here and practiced here, and their strengths had greatly improved. However, Queen Medusa is still far behind in advancing to the Dozong, so I decided to help Queen Medusa successfully swallow the fire on the night of the full moon that night. All of a sudden, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and the torrential rain was roaring. The bronze-colored sky thunder flickered among the clouds, like a dragon and snake crawling behind the dark clouds, lighting up the tranquility in the dark night, and filling the original Warcraft mountains with a bit of fear. The rumble of thunder was like drumming in the ears, deafening. Queen Medusa stared solemnly at the bronze lightning bolt in the sky. Warcraft were naturally afraid of lightning, so after seeing it now, it was naturally impossible to stay here. However, this place is protected by the Dengtian Pavilion. It only takes one thought, and no one can destroy every plant and tree here. Even if a strong man in the Dudi realm comes, he has to walk in a regular manner. Yumei was quite worried about Her Majesty the Queen, but Linglong stopped her when she wanted to help. "My lord has an order, no one is allowed to interfere with the devouring plan at this time. You guys." Although Yumei was upset, she had no choice but to say that the other party's strength was higher than her own, and all of them were experts above Dozong. Even if he has the power to reach the sky, he cannot be their opponent. Queen Medusa breathed out a turbid breath, and stared firmly at Qinglian's heart fire. "If this king is martyred, I hope Pavilion Master Li Xiao can promise me one thing. Help the snake people get out of the predicament and leave Taga University." Desert. Li Xiao, who was standing with his hands behind his back, smiled softly. "Don't worry, I have my own measure." The system page gave a reminder that the chance of the strange fire swallowed by Queen Medusa is not high, but it can stimulate the blood of the colorful sky-swallowing python in the body. However, if you spend 1,000 system coins, you can successfully help Queen Medusa absorb the strange fire, and thus activate the ancient blood in her body, and be promoted to the fighting sect. After much thought, Li Xiao decided to spend system coins to help Medusa. Anyway, as long as he can help her advance to the Dozong, the money of the snake human race will be his own. End of this chapter. Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Queen Medusa did not have any timidity in her heart, but was extremely excited. No one in the past Medusa queens had ever been promoted to the Dozong realm, and I am about to succeed. After all, someone has witnessed his loyalty to the snake people. Even if I fail to devour the different fires, and I dedicate myself to it, I am worthy of the queen of the snake-human clan. Queen Medusa's eyes were serious, and she cut her wrist forcefully, and the golden blood slowly dripped from her wrist to the ground. In an instant, the surrounding energy became more violent, and some energy even wanted to kill everyone here, but was shattered by a spiritual shock from Tiange Pavilion. Lianxue slowly suspended in mid-air, watching the position of the strange fire vigilantly. If there was any mistake, then she would personally take action to seal all the motives of the different fire. Qinglian Dixinhuo will also leave here with Queen Medusa. Snake spirit, please protect me. There were bursts of red light on Queen Medusa, and under the powerful shock wave, all the high-level monsters in the entire Warcraft Mountains looked in the direction of Tiange Pavilion, and a hint of shock flashed in their eyes. I saw Queen Medusa's body shattered in an instant, turning into dots of red light. However, she did not die because of this, and was replaced by a colorful python with a length of meters. After the snake-human race was born, a secret recipe was used to inject the soul of a snake-shaped monster into the body. This half-life-souled snake-shaped monster merged with it, summoned this body, and its strength would skyrocket. This is also the last card of the Snake Man. In order to lead the people back to their homeland, Queen Medusa took the risk of devouring the strange fire. It can be said that she narrowly escaped death. In order to return to their homeland, it is also the long-cherished wish of the queens of Medusa. At this moment, Ihua seems to have sensed his own situation, and ran around frantically. At this moment, it has already developed wisdom, and knows that once it is swallowed, the consequences will be disastrous. The two frantically chased each other in mid-air, and Qinglian's heart fire radiated fiery energy, trying to make Queen Medusa choose to give up, but Queen Medusa naturally couldn't stop there. Her stubborn temper was unprecedented. Seeing Queen Medusa, Ihua was still unwilling to give up, so he frantically attacked her body until it was burned all over. You may knelt on the ground in pain. No. Your Majesty the Queen. Lianxue frowned slightly, and said with emotion, I didn't expect Qinglian's heart fire to fight back when she was dying could seriously injure Queen Medusa, who is at the peak of Dohuang. She really deserves to be the flame born of heaven and earth. Li Xiao looked at the strange fire, and murmured, the time is not up yet. Medusa hopes that you can persist for a while. At the same time, the snake-human tribe in the depths of the Tagore Desert thousands of miles away, boulders suspended in mid-air fell one after another. At this moment, all the snake people were stunned, not knowing what happened. Only the great elder Yinshe and the other Do Wangs all looked shocked. The great elder of Yinshe knelt on the ground and wailed in pain, Queen. How can our snake-human race go through such hardships? It has been 1,000 years. We have paid the price of 1,000 years, Queen. Mobaz was furious, and immediately drew two big knives. Elder, let's go to the Warcraft Mountains immediately. Kill Li Xiao and avenge Her Majesty the Queen. The great elder Yinshe's face was particularly ugly, but suddenly, the huge boulder that had fallen on the ground suddenly rose up instantly. Seeing this, everyone's expressions changed drastically, and some couldn't believe what they saw. Her Majesty is not dead, Her Majesty is still alive. Yinshe Great Elder was overjoyed. God bless my snake-human race, the Queen has not failed. The rest of the 8 chiefs also breathed a sigh of relief after learning about this, for fear that Her Majesty the Queen would die. The Queen is the fate of their snake-human race, and these boulders are also bound to the Queen's life. Make sure they are still there, and the Queen will be fine. The energy of the Warcraft Mountains began to riot. Under the vision of heaven and earth, thunder shook the sky and the earth, constantly chopping down the barriers around Tiange Pavilion. Seeing that the opponent was so obsessed with obsession, Tiange Pavilion was completely enraged, and immediately turned into a golden sword blade, piercing the sky, and suddenly hit the violent energy of heaven and earth. There was a loud bang, and the powerful force instantly shattered the energy of the world, and the violent shock wave swept across tens of thousands of roads in a radius. All the experts from the Jia Ma Empire flew out almost instantly, looking at the location of the Warcraft mountain range, their eyes flashed with horror. This astonishing deterrent power, is it really something that can only be produced by a strong Dou Zun? President Fa Ma swallowed, as the Dou Wang, he felt a sudden death just by feeling this breath. The feeling of dying, Jia Xingtian was also full of anger and blood, and stared in that direction with a solemn expression. Tiange Pavilion. Could it be that they really touched that realm? As a sixth-rank pharmacist, Alchemy King Furukawa's eyes were solemn, and he was horrified. As a pharmacist, he could naturally feel the breath of the strange fire, and the rioting energy of the strange fire was defeated instantly, and the energy of the heaven and the earth was also killed. It's incredible. Pil King Furukawa looked at the others, intending to go and take a look, but was stopped by Yun Yun, the lord of the Yunlan sect. Even the Dou Huang can't get close to this riotous energy. If you go to the Dou Huang, you will die. Furukawa said solemnly, Sect Master Yun, I think this should be the breath of different fires, we should take a look. Don't worry, I am willing to take out 3 6th-grade pills after the matter is completed, how about it? Yun Yun shook her head, she is not a fool, this astonishing power, even a Dou Huang would be wiped out, let alone watching it up close. The 3 6th-grade pills are indeed tempting, but they must have life flowers. Pil King Furukawa asked the other Dou Wang and Dou Huang, and without a doubt, they all refused. In this case, the entire empire will be destroyed, and if you go, you will die. Although Furukawa was unwilling, he had nothing to say, so he was forced to give up and go to watch this terrifying scene up close. The turbulent energy of the world was defeated by Tiange Pavilion's self-defense, and the original dark clouds also faded away, as if afraid of the majesty of Tiange Pavilion. Lianxue, Linglong, Bingshuang, and Niumeng knelt on the ground at the same time, facing the Biden heavenly pavilion deeply. The golden light of Tiange Pavilion also disappeared, but judging from the blow just now, the origin of Tiange Pavilion is definitely not weak. Li Xiao cast a glance at the Tiange Pavilion behind him, then nodded in satisfaction. The system is really reliable, and it really is easy to do things with money that I didn't expect that even the energy of heaven and earth would be shattered, so terrifying. Even Emperor Dou dared not say that he was an enemy of heaven and earth, but Tiange Pavilion was not only an enemy, but even defeated it completely, which is simply unimaginable. End of this chapter. Chapter 64 successfully promoted to Queen Medusa. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time passed by every minute and every second, and the power of the strange fire has been completely suppressed. Queen Medusa took this opportunity to leap into the air, and swallowed the strange fire alive in her belly. The fiery temperature rose instantly, igniting the surrounding space. Qinglian's inner fire also began to riot, staged a scene of a counterattack on the deathbed. Queen Medusa was lying on the ground and rolling crazily, trembling violently. She almost wanted to give up, but after thinking about the situation of the snake-human race, even if her teeth were broken, she had to persevere to the end, even if you die. Li Xiao saw the opportunity, and immediately took out a pill that cost, system coins and threw it over, and reminded, eat this pill, hurry up. Queen Medusa used her last ounce of consciousness to devour the elixir thrown by Li Xiao without even thinking about it. Immediately, her eyes went dark, and her huge snake body fell to the ground without moving. The surrounding energy also slowly dissipated, and Li Xiao knew in her heart that she had succeeded. Medusa's accompanying soul is a 6th-order monster, the purple serpent. This kind of Zeo flame snake has the blood of an ancient alien beast flowing in its body. If the opportunity is sufficient, it can stimulate the thin blood in it and evolve into their ancient ancestors, and Medusa, after using Queen Medusa's secret method to evolve, has become an ancient alien beast that can compete with the strong fighters. Li Xiao strode forward, looking at the big snake that had not moved, slowly squatted down, and gently placed her right hand on top of her head. Lianxue and the others also teleported here, injecting their fighting spirit into Queen Medusa's body to recover her injuries. Yume ran over anxiously, knelt beside Her Majesty the Queen, and asked, Pavilion Master, how is Your Majesty the Queen? Success. Li Xiao said softly, from today onwards, the snake race will give birth to a strong Dou Zong. As soon as these words came out, Yu Mei cried out excitedly. It has been thousands of years, and the realm that the queens of Medusa have never reached, the queen has finally broken through this realm. The future of the snake people is finally hopeful. At this moment, the big snake lying on the ground suddenly disappeared, replaced by a beautiful woman. A colorful dress outlined astonishing and soul-stirring curves, extremely enchanting. Her face is also extremely seductive, her phoenix eyes are full of charm, and her voice is even more charming, but what is suffocating is that the woman in front of her can be said to be naked. The strange fire burned her clothes to ashes, and with the breeze blowing, she was completely naked. Li Xiao immediately took off his coat and covered Queen Medusa to prevent her from being exposed, but he saw everything, including everything. Fortunately, Niu Meng and Hai Bodong were not there, otherwise these two guys would definitely have their jaws dropped. Yu Mei hugged the queen's delicate body, stared at Li Xiao and said, "What are you still doing here?" Li Xiao touched his nose, turned around, and said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, I offended you just now. Let's take Queen Medusa back to the room to rest, and let her come to me after she wakes up." Yu Mei hurriedly flew towards the distance with Her Majesty the Queen, feeling a lot of emotion in her heart. She did not expect that the foundation of Tiange Pavilion would be so strong. Not only would the queen be promoted to the realm of Dou Zong, but also all her injuries would be recovered. It is simply unimaginable. Lianxue walked to the side of the Lord Pavilion Master, and said with a smile, "My Lord Pavilion Master, does it look good?" Cough, cough, cough. Li Xiao coughed twice. Why didn't she turn on which pot and lifted which pot? Swear, you're being naughty again. Slightly Lianxue made a grimace, then looked at the two sisters who were snickering, and said with a smile, "Ling Long, Bing Shuang, how do you punish the Lord Pavilion Master?" "Of course, he. Hey, don't joke with me, I'm already very tired, and I won't be able to survive if I continue like this." Tsk. Ling Long took Li Xiao's hand shyly and said, "My lord, a man might say he can't do it." Hearing this, Li Xiao plucked two special fruits of the snake-human race with all his strength. If he didn't teach them a lesson, he really didn't know who is the master of the Tiange Pavilion. It was destined to be a sleepless night. At dawn the next day, the golden rooster announced the dawn. Li Xiao, who got up, stroked his forehead gently. The battle last night was extremely spectacular, and the place where it passed was devastated. Li Xiao picked up the clothes that fell on the floor, looked at the three people who were still sleeping, turned and left the room. At this time, Niu Meng was planting some fruits, and when he saw the pavilion master, he bowed his hands and saluted. "Niu Meng, is there any news from the snake man?" "Not really." Niu Meng said softly, "However, my subordinates have already felt that Queen Medusa has awakened, and she should be stabilizing her realm." Hearing this, Li Xiao nodded. "In that case, let her have a good rest. There is still some time before the auction, and he can also take this opportunity to hit the realm of Douwang." Now Li Xiao has come to the 9-star fighting master, and he is only one step away from Douling. It is not so easy to become the Douwang within a year, and the real watershed is above Douling. Sitting cross-legged in the bamboo pavilion on the Huai River, Li Xiao circulated the Dou Qi in his body, thereby accumulating energy and making his Dou Qi more pure. Niu Meng saw that the pavilion master was practicing, so he didn't bother him, but continued to dig the soil and grow vegetables on his own. Time flies. I don't know how long it has passed. Li Xiao has successfully settled down, and the continuous fighting energy around him is flying towards his body. Ice Emperor Hai Bodong squinted his eyes. He can absorb so much energy at once with this aura. It seems that the owner of Tiange Pavilion is the biggest boss. Queen Medusa walked out of the room slowly. At this time, Queen Medusa's snake tail had completely disappeared, replaced by those almost crazy beautiful legs. The pure white feet lightly stepped on the ground, and the whole person came to the front of Tiange Pavilion. Seeing that the energy around her was accumulating, she couldn't help feeling a lot of emotion. The elixir given to her by Pavilion Master Li Xiao was of extraordinary value, and even said that it made her strength directly reach the 3 stars of Dou Zong, and changed the blood in her body. The speed of practice must be 1,000 miles a day. Queen Medusa pursed her red lips and moved her fingers slightly. but she didn't say anything. Linglong came to her side and said, "The elixir that Lord Pavilion Master fed you is very valuable. It not only allowed you to successfully swallow the strange fire, but also improved your bloodline. You are all possible." Queen Medusa's beautiful eyes flashed with a complicated look. As the queen of the snake-human race, she was cruel and heartless by nature, and countless people died at her hands, but in front of Tiange Pavilion, she was even a little bit timid. End of this chapter. Chapter 65. From now on, you will be called Cailin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So, what are you going to use to repay the Pavilion Master? Hearing this, Queen Medusa turned her face sideways and looked at Linglong beside her, a little confused about what she meant by her words. Linglong said softly, "Our Pavilion Master is a businessman, and a businessman is only interested in profit, so." Medusa suddenly guessed something, and her expression relaxed a little. She doesn't like to owe favors to others in this life, and it would be great if it can be solved with money. She only needs to bring all the gold coins from the 8 major tribes, and this favor can be regarded as a real repayment. Queen Medusa immediately arranged for Yume to return to the Great Tagore Desert, and brought back all the gold coins, and also brought some pill fighting skills from the clan, and gave them to Tiange Pavilion unconditionally. Yume nodded and was about to leave immediately. However, for the sake of safety, Linglong also arranged for the Amethyst-Winged Lion King to accompany her. With the 6th-level monster of the half-step fighting sect, she must be able to bring the money back safely. Queen Medusa pursed her alluring red lips, turned sideways, and said softly, "Thank you very much." Linglong looked at Queen Medusa, who had already left, and turned her head to rest on the Pavilion Master again. Before you know it, half a year has passed in a flash. A sudden heavy snow covered the entire eastern part of the Warcraft Mountains, but the Tiange Pavilion was still full of vitality. There is a feeling of another world. Xiao slowly opened his eyes, and the vindictiveness floating around his body dissipated. After feeling the energy in his body, he was quite satisfied. After more than half a year, Xiao's strength has also been upgraded from a 9-star master to a 9-star fighting spirit, which can be said to be progressing rapidly. With such a speed of cultivation, I am afraid that no one in the world can compete with it. Even the geniuses of the 8 major families dare not say that in just a few years, they have been promoted from a 3-star fighter to a 9-star fighter, and it is only half a step. The realm of Dowang, Xiao shrugged, staring at the snow-white forest in front of him. At this moment, the system popped up suddenly. Name, Xiao. Race, Terran. Cultivation level, 9-star Douling. Fighting skills, none for now. Fighting skills will start after the King of Fighting. Bloodline, duty bloodline. Subordinates, Linglong, Niu Meng, Bingshuang, Lianxue. Total assets, 70,000 system coins. Main task, earn 1 billion gold coins within 3 years. Complete rewards, holy gift packs. Current progress, July 10th, the remaining time, 1 year. Hearing the system's prompt, Xiao frowned slightly. Why did his money suddenly increase so much? At least he retreated, and it was only, points of system currency, but now he has an extra, points out of thin air. Xiao searched for a while, only to find that the money brought by the snake people, totaled, million gold coins, copies of Huang-level fighting skills, books of Xian-level fighting skills, and, books of Earth-level fighting skills. Thousands of 3rd-grade pills and 500 4th-grade pills. 1,000 pieces of spirit mine. Seeing such a large amount of money, Xiao couldn't help but feel a lot of emotion. He didn't expect that the resources of the snake-human race were so abundant. No wonder they could stand in the Tagore Desert for thousands of years. They really had 2 brushes. The corner of Xiao's mouth curled up. This is what he wanted. As long as he had money, it was more important than anything else. Pavilion Master, your retreat is over. Linglong walked over and smiled lightly after feeling the energy in Master Pavilion Master's body. As expected of the Pavilion Master, it is really surprising that she can reach such a level in such a short period of time. Xiao nodded and said, well, in the recent period, no one should have come here to make trouble. No. But there are many fighting kings and fighting emperors. Not long ago, when Queen Medusa was promoted to the fighting sect, the aura generated by the heavenly pavilion's defeat of the energy of heaven and earth spread across thousands of miles. Bufan had the fighting sect to watch the excitement. But they didn't step into the territory of Dengtian Pavilion. Linglong replied, hearing this, Li Xiao didn't say anything anymore. As long as this group of people didn't disturb the order of Dengtian Pavilion or destroy the things here, he wouldn't interfere. At this moment, a strong rose fragrance came over her face. Turning her head to look at the person behind her, Li Xiao nodded and smiled. How, Queen Medusa, that's right, the person who came was none other than the strong snake human race, Queen Medusa. Medusa looked at Pavilion Master Li Xiao, nodded her head and said, "Thank you, Pavilion Master, for helping me break through the realm of Dozong. According to the agreement, you will be the best friend of my snake human race." Li Xiao smiled and waved his hand. "It's okay, this is what I promised you. Don't worry, I will arrange for people to move the snake people to the east of the Warcraft Mountains in a short time. Here, it should be very suitable for the development of the snake people." Medusa nodded slightly. After more than half a year of exploration, she has found a place suitable for the life of the snake people, just need to build a tribe nearby. Li Xiao also arranged for Niu Meng to find human craftsmen and help the snake human race build a house according to the drawings. "Medusa, you have evolved into a human form now, not the half-human half-snake form before, so naturally you need a name. How about Cailin? This suits you very well." Hearing this, Medusa showed a dignified face. Looking at Pavilion Master Li Xiao's sincere cheek, there was a complex look in her eyes, but this time, she didn't shout angrily, but said in a flat voice, "Let's talk about it later. I am still the Queen Medusa of the snake human race, but if you like, you can call me." Li Xiao chuckled. It seems that Queen Medusa has compromised, and after that, she will be called Cailin. Next, we are going to buy the next lot of Dengtian Pavilion. The annual auction is about to start. There must be a lot of strong people coming this time, and it is not impossible that there are even strong Dou Zun coming. After Seoul Palace Dou Zun was killed by Lianxue last time, the other party remained silent, perhaps out of fear of Dengtian Pavilion. That's why they didn't send troops to chase and intercept him. However, the most suspicion is still about Pavilion Master Li Xiao. None of the 8 great families in ancient times had a surname Li, but where did the Dengtian Pavilion appear from? Does all this have something to do with Zhongzhou continent? At this moment, countless Dou Huang powerhouses have gathered outside Dengtian Pavilion, and the powerhouses of the 4 great empires have also arrived at their destinations. Jia Xingtian frowned and said, "I didn't expect that. I haven't seen you for a year, and the aura of Dengtian Pavilion has improved again." "That's right." President Fa Ma stroked his mustache, frowned and said, "It's a world of difference from our last visit. Perhaps this has a lot to do with the owner of the Dengtian Pavilion." After the lessons learned from the last auction, those people with ulterior motives no longer dared to be enemies, and even said that they no longer had the idea of invading before, and could only wait in the valley. No one even spoke ill of Dengtian Pavilion, for fear of ruining their own lives because of their own words. End of this chapter. Chapter 66 2 Fighting Venerables. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 66. Yun Yun, the master of the Yunman sect, pursed his lips, looked at the vibrant Dengtian Pavilion in front of him, and muttered in his heart, "Why is it snowing heavily outside, but the spring breeze is 10 miles inside? Could it have something to do with Dengtian Pavilion? Changing the time rules, the Dou Zun might not be able to complete it." The powerhouses from the Black Horn region have also arrived, and the leader is naturally Medicine Emperor Han Feng, followed by the Douhuang powerhouse from the Black Horn region. Since the end of the last auction, Medicine Emperor Han Feng promised everyone that if there is a strange fire outside the Dengtian Pavilion, I hope they can help him. As long as he can get the strange fire, he can successfully evolve the full version of Fenju. Ever since he filmed the completed version of Fenju, Yaohuang Han Feng has been very arrogant, and he has been insulting the old Yao Chen in his heart. What you don't give yourself, he will naturally try to get it by all means. Now he only needs the different fire, and he can greatly improve his strength, and his promotion to Dozong is just around the corner. At this time, Han Feng had already reached half of the Dozong realm, and he only needed to be given the last time to advance to Dozong. What's more, he who has been burned can no longer be compared with ordinary people. He can now call himself the medicine sect. Thinking of this, the corner of Yao Huang Hanfeng's mouth curled up, turned around and looked at the gold and silver elders not far away, and said with a smile, "Gold and silver elders, you are here too." The gold and silver elders turned their heads to look at Han Feng, and replied, "Naturally, Tiange Pavilion is such a good place, why don't we come here? If we can auction some good things, it will not be in vain for the purpose of our trip." Gone. Everyone looked at each other and smiled, and they were all waiting for the auction of Tiange Pavilion. The treasures this time will surely amaze the entire Duki continent. At this moment, the sky was covered with dark clouds, and a strong sense of oppression enveloped everyone in an instant. Even the gold and silver elders, who are the pinnacle of the Douhuang, stared wide-eyed. Unexpectedly, the other party directly released their fighting spirit to fight. Except for a few Douzong, the rest of them felt an unprecedented surge of qi and blood. Medicine Emperor Han Feng turned around abruptly, looked at the person who came, and said in horror, "It turned out to be a strong Douzun. Only a strong Douzun can have such a shocking aura, and it can cause the world to change color." From this, we can see how terrifying this person's strength is. Obviously, this Douzun strongman did not launch an attack on every plant and tree in the Tiange Pavilion, but landed on the ground smoothly under the fearful eyes of everyone. As soon as he landed on the ground, a violent breath suddenly rose from under him, setting off 100-meter-high violent sand. This Douzun strongman is dressed in a red robe, with red hair and beard, and it can be said that he has a burning feeling on his body. Seeing who came, everyone took a step forward one after another, and bowed their hands together. "I have seen Senior Venerable." There are very few strong men who have reached the realm of Douzun in the entire continent, and every one of them is a treasure in the eyes of that group of forces. The price paid for cultivating a Douzun is too great. This Douzun glanced at the people around him, with a look of disdain on his face. "These guys are not worthy to speak by themselves. This person is the owner of Fenyan Valley, Tang Zhen. The strength is as high as the 5-star Douzun strongman, and he even controls the 9 dragons Thunder Gonghua. He heard that there is a strange fire in Tiange Pavilion, and he also wants to come here to join in the fun." Fenyan Valley was created thousands of years ago. After thousands of years of development, Fenyan Valley has become the top power in Zhongzhou on the mainland, and there are many strong people in the valley. It is a feud with Glacier Valley, one of the 3 valleys that in the valley. There is a 9 dragons Lei Gonghua that inherits the different fire, which ranks number 12 on the list of different fires. Medicine Emperor Han Feng squinted his eyes. Although he was a Douhuang peak powerhouse, he had never seen this Douzun powerhouse. Of course, if he heard the name, he might still have a little impression. Jia, I didn't expect you to come, Tang Zhen, too. This really impresses me." In an instant, the thundercloud rolled, and several black shadows flew towards the position where Tiange Pavilion was located, and the space they passed was torn to pieces. Tang Zhen, the owner of Fenyan Valley, frowned, and said in his heart, "This old man has come." With a flash of light and shadow, the old man in black robe suddenly stood before everyone's eyes. His powerful aura made everyone kneel on the ground. From this, he could feel that this person's strength was no less than that of Tang Zhen, the owner of Fenyan Valley. The person who came was the Tianzuan of the Soul Palace, the old ghost who picked up the stars. The old ghost who picked up the stars laughed loudly. "Ha ha, Tang Zhen, I thought that no one from Zhongzhou would come here, but I didn't expect you to come here." Tang Zhen snorted coldly. "What does this have to do with you? This deity comes whenever he wants, so I don't need to say a word to you." The strength of the star-picking old ghost is the pinnacle of the 5-star Douzun, which is a bit behind Tang Zhen, the owner of the Fenyan Valley. However, Tang Zhen has the 3 mysterious changes of heaven and fire, and once he uses them, the gap in realm will be narrowed. Not long ago, the blood-colored old ghost of my family guest died here. How could I, as the heavenly venerable, just ignore it? I came here today to seek justice. Hearing this, Tang Zhen sneered in his heart. Being able to kill a 1-star Douzun in one blow, his strength should not be underestimated, and even said that he had surpassed the realm of Douzun, still wanting revenge. But it's just a fool's dream. Guardian Duck timidly walked to the old ghost who picked up the stars, and respectfully said, "Tianzuan, this is the Tiange Pavilion. The old ghost-picking stars turned his head to look in the direction of the valley, but he couldn't help frowning when he saw the scenery in front of him, because the space here has been changed, the outside world is icy cold, and here it is like spring all the year round. This is what kind of strength can reach this level. The old ghost-picking stars swallowed his saliva, but in front of so many people, he could not bow his knees. Instead, he said loudly, "Listen, people inside, I am the heavenly lord of the Soul Palace, the old ghost-picking stars. Hurry up and come out to greet me." "Sir, don't be so loud, it will anger the strong inside." "Duck Protector kindly reminds me," the old ghost-picking stars snorted coldly, "no matter how strong the other party is, what's the point? Could it be that they can't compete with what they still have in the Soul Palace?" The bloody old ghost's death had already alarmed the higher-ups, and he specially arranged for him to come and investigate. If there is no peak powerhouse, then he will destroy it at all costs, and bring back the soul of the master of the Tiange Pavilion. Bingshuang came out and said, "What is your dog barking here?" That the old ghost who picked up the stars was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect this woman to call himself a dog in front of so many people. The uncle can bear it, and the aunt can't bear it either. Immediately, he widened his eyes and said, "Presumptuous, this deity is a strong man in the Soul Palace, how can he be that kind of lowly beast? You killed my strong man, why don't you give me an explanation?" Bingshuang raised her eyebrows, "So you are that guy's colleague? If that's the case, you can help him pay back the huge sum he owes." End of this chapter. Chapter 67. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old ghost-picking stars frowned slightly, and asked puzzledly, "I owe money. How come I don't know?" Bingshuang immediately took out a list. The bloody old ghost had killed more than a dozen fourth-order monsters near Tiange Pavilion and destroyed hundreds of trees. Now the profit has already reached 8,000 million gold coins. Price, the corner of the old ghost's mouth twitched, and he said immediately, "It's so expensive, your Tiange Pavilion is too dark. Are you questioning me?" Bingshuang's expression changed, and her icy fighting spirit was surging. Her powerful aura was no weaker than the 2 5-star Dozun. Seeing that the other party was already angry, the old ghost who picked up the stars greeted the bloody old ghost hundreds of times. "This guy likes to pretend to be aggressive when he has nothing to do. It's only been a year and already reached 8,000 million gold coins. If it's more than 10 years later, you can't just empty out the old bottom of the Soul Palace." Thinking of this, the old star-picking ghost changed his normal routine. A smile appeared on his ferocious face, and his voice softened. "Hee, what's the name of this young lady?" "Frost, named by the pavilion master, Venerable Frost." "So it's Venerable Frost, I've admired your name for a long time." The old ghost-picking stars handed back the previous IOU, and said with a smile, "Heavenly Lord in the Lower Soul Palace, you can call me old ghost-picking stars." "Misunderstanding, I don't know the bloody old ghost at all." "Are you kidding me?" Bingshuang frowned, fighting spirit condensed into an ice sword in her hand, as if she was about to chop off the head of old ghost-picking stars in the next second. The star-picking old ghost had an ugly expression on his face. In order not to spend the money, he grabbed the guardian duck next to him, threw it on the ground and said, "If you don't believe me, ask him, is the bloody old ghost one of us?" Naturally, Guardian Duck could see that the swords were on the verge of a few people, for fear that they would say the wrong thing and lose their lives. "The blood-colored old ghost is really not with us. If you don't believe me, you can check." Bingshuang looked happy, and slowly raised the ice sword, so frightened that coulda trembled all over. He was just a Dozong, and he was not enough to be seen by the Dozun strongman. Just as Bingshuang started, the pavilion master's words sounded in his mind. "Let's forget about it. If the other party refuses to admit it, there is nothing we can do." Hearing this, Bingshuang withdrew her weapon and turned sideways. "It's best to be honest, otherwise ascending to Qinga will make you pay a terrible price." That when Frost teleported away, Guardian Duck fell to the ground as if he had collapsed. After confirming that the other party was not pursuing him, he breathed a sigh of relief, and his black robe was already wet with sweat. The star-picking old ghost looked at the frightened Dharma Guardian with contempt on his face, and this was their Earth-level Dharma Guardian of the Soul Palace. Now it seems that he is really embarrassing to the Soul Palace. Tang Zhen, the owner of Fenyan Valley, laughed and said, "Old ghost picking stars, I thought that the people in your Soul Palace were all tough guys. Now it seems that it is the same thing. You." The old ghost picking stars gritted his teeth angrily, wishing he could kill Tang Zhen, the owner of the Fenyan Valley, right now, but there was a rule here that no one is allowed to fight within a radius of 50 miles, and anyone who violates the order will be punished. Kill. All the grievances can only be accumulated in his heart, but how can the old ghost who picks up the stars have a vengeful character? So he grabbed the head of Dharma Guardian and threw it out, come back after cleaning up. Tang Zhen, the owner of the Fenyan Valley, glanced at the Dharma protector, but didn't speak, but stood quietly on the spot, closing his eyes and resting his mind. To him, the old ghost reaching the stars is just a clown. If it wasn't for the huge monster in the Soul Palace, how could he be treated a little less favorably? Seeing that the hatred between the two has been fully drawn, the people in the Black Corner region have already hid far away, for fear that their lives will be affected. Fan Yao, the patriarch of the Blood Sect, turned his head and asked, "Yao Huang, you don't need to hide behind the big tree, the other party probably won't fight here." Han Feng came out in embarrassment, a little embarrassed. This bastard actually made himself unable to get down in front of so many people, and he would never ask him to refine the elixir in the future. About an hour later, Niu Meng appeared in front of everyone, and said loudly, "Everyone, please follow me, don't step on the surrounding plants. Anyone who doesn't listen to dissuasion can damage them at will. But 100 gold coins." This sentence made the group of people furious. One grass would cost 100 gold coins, they must be crazy about money. Weeds are the most indispensable thing in the Warcraft Mountains. Even a gold coin can buy a large cart of weeds, let alone 100 gold coins. Feeling the temperature in the valley, Tang Zhen, the owner of Fenyan Valley, couldn't help feeling a lot of emotion. I didn't expect there to be such a place in the east of the Warcraft Mountains. It must be a little surprising. Compared with Zhongzhou, the battle chi here is not much better. It can even be said that the closer to the interior, the stronger the energy of the battle chi, and there is even an urge to realize in situ. Niu Meng strode and stood outside Dengtian Pavilion. The amethyst-winged Lion King and the remaining few monsters were also watching the humans in front of them vigilantly. If they are found to be ignoring the rules, they can be killed directly. "Teacher, this time there is a Dou Zun strongman. It seems that the next auction will be more intense." At this moment, the black-robed boy in the distance stared closely at the strong men not far away. With the help of Shanhai Lanxin, most of Yao Chen's soul recovered. If Xiao Yan was promoted to fighting spirit, he could at least bear his power, the power of Dou Zong Peak. Yao Chen stared at the position of Yao Huang. Han Feng, this villain. Yuan Yi, the master of the 8 gates, turned his head to look at Xiao Yan's position. "Yao Huang, I have felt this guy watching you all the time since I came here, do you know him?" Hearing this, Medicine Emperor Han Feng turned his head to look at Xiao Yan, and felt a familiar aura in his body, but he couldn't remember where he saw it before. "It's just a jumping clown, no threat." Medicine Emperor Han Feng didn't care about Xiao Yan. In his eyes, this guy was just a small fighter, nothing to be afraid of. After waiting for some time, the gate of Dengtian Pavilion finally opened. Ling Long made a gesture of invitation with one hand. "The auction is about to start, everyone please." People who carried more gold coins naturally came to the 3rd floor, and those middle-level people could only sit on the 2nd floor, and the rest were not picky, just found a chair and sat down. Medicine Emperor Han Feng glanced at the guys sitting on the 1st floor. These people are nothing to be afraid of. Ye Fei came to the center of the crystal platform and bowed deeply to everyone. "I'm very glad to come to Dengtian Pavilion with you. Maybe some people don't know me, so let me introduce myself. My name is Ye Fei, I come from the middle family, and at the same time, I am also the new auctioneer in Dengtian Pavilion. All the auction items today are handled by myself. Conduct." End of this chapter. Chapter 68 Level 7 Dragon Beast Magic Core. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 68. Guardian Duck hurried over, and personally brought Tianzuan to the box on the 3rd floor of Dengtian Pavilion. As a strong man in the Soul Palace, only the 3rd floor can be worthy of the status of several people. Tang Zhen, the owner of Fenyan Valley, was also taken to a certain box on the third floor by Niu Meng. Otherwise, this kind of strong man has a lot of gold coins in his hands, so he can get closer and help the owner of the pavilion earn more gold coins. When everyone was ready, Ye Fei clapped her hands lightly in front of everyone, and said loudly, "Everyone, because the next lot is very important, my pavilion master announced that everyone who enters the box will block everything and disrupt the order of everyone, thus protecting everyone's life safety. I announce that the Dengtian Pavilion auction starts now. For the weak, protecting privacy is the safest way, but for the truly strong, this is just a drop in the bucket. Some people choose to hide, and some people make a big show and don't care about their identities being exposed. The auction will begin." The first lot was brought up. Everyone must have already seen this thing. This is a 7th level water attribute dragon monster core. It is so hard that it is rare in the world. It cannot be destroyed no matter what method is used, and even its body is full of violent spiritual power. On the stage Ye Fei said softly. What? It turned out to be the magic core of a 7th order dragon beast. There was a sudden commotion in the auction hall, and everyone focused on looking forward. You must know that dragon monsters are extremely rare in the entire fighting spirit continent, and the energy it foresees is positive and optimistic, which can be said to be the first among all monsters. However, for thousands of years, dragon monsters have been massacred by humans, and their reproduction speed is extremely slow, and it may even take hundreds of years to grow up. The speed of death does not have the speed of growth at all. In the end, there are fewer and fewer dragon monsters, and it is even difficult to find their traces. At this moment, the eyes flickered, like many lightning flashes. The auction has only just started, and the 7th order dragon magic core has been produced, which is not the finale. This time it is really surprising. People were amazed. For alchemists, 7th level monster cores are very difficult to obtain. If they want to get them, they must be killed by several Dozong experts. This is why, over the years, 7th level monsters' nuclei will be so scarce. Everyone was relieved, because many people were simply unable to compete for this 7th order monster core. The items auctioned by Dengtian Pavilion are indeed high-quality products, which are outrageous. Now that everyone has decided, the starting price is 1,000 million gold coins, and the price increase is no less than 100 million. Let's start now. I'll offer 100 million gold coins. Someone raised a placard to make an offer. I offer 1,000 million. 12 million gold coins. That the value of the magic core of dragon monsters is very high. If you let it go, you don't know when you will get it next time. Seeing the rising price, Medicine Emperor Han Feng slowly raised his right hand. 3,000 million gold coins. Hearing the price increase from the Medicine Emperor Han Feng, everyone was forced to give up. The value of the 7th order dragon monster core is at most between 800 million and 500 million. Now the other party has directly issued a price increase that makes it impossible to increase the price. The price, simply no longer bother. Except for the pharmacist, no one has that much interest in the magic core, but since he likes it, it is not impossible to give him a favor along the way. Pil King Furukawa narrowed his eyes and said, "Recently, there is a lack of a magic core. The power brought by dragon monsters is very terrifying, and it is also very suitable for refining pills." "Lao He, you don't want this magic core too, do you?" Yanshi asked in a low voice. N. Pil King Furukawa nodded, and said firmly, "The value brought by the 7th order magic core is quite high. If we just give up like this, we don't know when we want to obtain dragon monsters in the future. Now it just happens if we come across it, then there is no reason to miss it." Hearing this sentence, Yanshi and Feng Li looked at each other. Now that Lao He has talked to this point, it is not easy to persuade him. What he likes must be obtained. Just when Ye Fei was confirming the price, Feng Li suddenly said, 30 million gold coins. "What, is there someone who wants to increase the price?" "Yeah, more than 3,000 million gold coins, it's too rich. Although the magic core of dragon monsters is precious, it is not extinct. Buying a magic core for tens of millions is of little use." "Who says it's not? We don't understand things about rich people. Everyone started whispering, laughing at Danwang Furukawa as an idiot. The price has already exceeded so much, and the price is still increasing. It's not obvious that there is something wrong with his head. However, Furukawa doesn't care about other people's opinions. As long as he refines a top-ranked 6th-grade elixir, the benefits he can bring will not be lower than that brought by this 7th-ranked dragon monster core. You don't have to be treated coldly by this group of ignorant guys. Medicine Emperor Han Feng frowned and said, Guha, I can't get what I want. With your wealth, it shouldn't be enough to make enemies with us in the Black Horn region. In this northwest continent, Medicine Emperor Han Feng doesn't care about anyone, even Dou Zun won't pay attention to him if he gets the heavenly flame. Furukawa said, there will be rules for the auction. The highest bidder wins. The Emperor of Medicine should not speak disrespectfully here. Well, I'd like to see if it's your alchemy king, Gu He, or my medicine emperor, Han Feng, who is stronger. The iron fan in Han Feng's hand closed with a sound. 32 million gold coins. 35 million gold coins. 3007. Han Feng said lazily, as if he didn't care about the payment of gold coins at all. The strong man in the Black Horn region beside him looked at each other in blank dismay. This bastard really doesn't cost me money. If Han Feng hadn't promised them to refine the pill every time, they wouldn't beg him to do something with their own money. Fortunately, Han Feng did not break his promise, otherwise, naturally there would be no good fruit to eat. Furukawa's addition is obviously a little powerless. The medicine emperor Han Feng continued to increase the price in a calm manner. Anyway, he would not back down on this 7th-order monster core. Master Tianzuan, do we need to intervene? At this moment, in the box on the 3rd floor, Guardian Duck saw that the two forces were arguing so fiercely, and there was a sneer on his face. Muddying the water was what he wanted to do. Hearing this, the old ghost who picked up the stars thought for a while, and decided to test the auction price of this 7th-order dragon monster core. If the price increase is too outrageous, there is no need for their soul palace to smash this 7th-order dragon monster core, because the magic core is useless to him. I want to get it because of the existence of a pharmacist. If I want a pill in the future, I can use this magic core to trade. 4,000 million gold coins. Guardian Duck said, holding up the sign. End of this chapter. Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Han Feng's expression finally changed slightly. He didn't expect that this 7th-order dragon monster core would be missed by the strong soul hull, which made him feel a little uncomfortable. However, he didn't intend to continue to stop. Anyway, he was spending money from other forces. For himself, he only needed to pay a small price, unless these guys don't ask themselves to make alchemy in the future. Otherwise, they can use this request to continuously search for their money. Pill King Furukawa's face was serious. 4,000 million gold coins bought a 7th-order magic core. It was indeed a bit of a loss, and he could only be forced to give up. As the saying goes, a man who knows the current affairs is a hero. If you blindly increase the price, let alone whether you can get it, even if you get it, this magic core will make your funds tight, so that you will not be able to carry out the next auction. Thinking of the alchemy king Guha here, he could only be forced to give up this 7th-order monster core. 2 million for 4,000. Now that Shanwang Guha has given up, how could the medicine emperor Han Feng just ignore him? Although he had reached a different deal with Soul Palace, he would not give up such a good opportunity in terms of resources, and the money was not his own, so he would not feel distressed to some extent. The old ghost who picked up the stars heard that the price of this 7th-order magic core had soared to 4,002 million gold coins, and his expression became hesitant. Fenyanga's old thing hasn't been sold yet. If he squanders all the money, he won't be able to conduct an auction. If they continue to fight recklessly with him, they will definitely be the ones who will lose. Simply give up directly, thereby weakening the strength of the opponent. In the end, Han Feng successfully bought this 7th-order magic core with 4,002 million gold coins. The people in the Black Corner region have already looked at each other in dismay, wishing to slap Han Feng to death with a single slap, and auction a 7th-order magic core for more than 4,000 million gold coins. You really don't take their money seriously. Fan Lao was trembling with anger, staring at Han Feng viciously. Han Feng put down the teacup in his hand unhurriedly, and said indifferently, "Everyone, I hope you can put the overall situation first. Don't forget, we are grasshoppers on the same line now, and all the pills you need are available. I made it. Could it be that you don't want it? These words made the eyes of several people fierce. Han Feng's shameless spirit really deserved his reputation, but there was nothing he could do about it. Who knew how to make alchemy? In the Black Horn domain, they would rather offend Cailin Academy than offend the only 6th-grade pharmacist, Medicine Emperor Han Feng. There was once a Dou Huang who offended Han Feng. Han Feng rejected his elixirs many times, and finally ate other elixirs during a certain promotion, which eventually caused his body to explode and die. Those memories are still vivid today. A few people could only smash their teeth and swallow in their stomachs, and continue to look at the position of the crystal table in silence. The second lot is a special high-grade receiving ring, which has a space of thousands of cubic meters, and there are only a handful of such large receiving rings in the world. There are also high and low levels of receiving rings. High-grade receiving rings are extremely scarce. At the beginning, a receiving ring with a few cubic meters was worth gold coins, let alone one with 1,000 cubic meters. In the world of Doqi continent, the Na ring is divided into 3 levels, low, middle, and high, and the Yu Hai Na ring worn by Medicine Emperor Han Feng is a high-level Na ring. Na ring can store things, even souls. In the Black Horn domain, high-level rings can be said to have a price but no market. Moreover, high-level rings also have the function of protecting the master, and some can even directly rebound the opponent's mental power. It can be described as an unimaginable treasure. This ring is called Longyu ring. It has a huge space and has a space of 1,000 cubic meters. If someone wants to inject spiritual power into it, they will suffer backlash, and even make the opponent explode immediately. Death. And I swear by the reputation of Tiange Pavilion, this ring can also store such natural materials and earthly treasures as different fires, and it will not harm the things inside the ring. Hearing these words, Tang Zhen, the owner of Fenyan Valley, became interested. Even a Dou Zun strongman had never owned such a level of Neji. If he got it, he would benefit a lot. Not only him, but the old ghost who picked up the stars has also become very interested. It would be great if he can get it now. Even if he wants to buy a ring of this level, he may not be able to buy it. It is very difficult to add Xingtian, but he must get it. This top-notch ring cannot be missed, and he desperately needs it, because his ring is very common, even though he is a Douhuang peak powerhouse, but the things on his body are not too rich, so naturally he doesn't want to miss such a good opportunity now. Sitting in a room on the 4th floor, Cailin stared at the movement below her, folded her hands on her chest and said, I didn't expect the items auctioned by Tiange Pavilion to be so precious. Previously, there was a magic core of 7th-order dragon monsters, and now there is a ring that can hold 1,000 cubic meters. I don't know if it will make the venue excited. The Ice Emperor Bodong also swallowed his saliva. They wanted to participate in this auction, but because of their financial constraints, they could only follow Pavilion Master Li Xiao to the room on the 4th floor to watch the other party's auction. However, they were also very surprised. They did not expect that the Tiange Pavilion auction would attract so many powerful people. Even he, who is one of the top 10 powerful people in the Jiama Empire, couldn't help being filled with emotion. Those who can come to Tiange Pavilion are extremely powerful. They not only need to defend against the attack of monsters, but also be careful of other human beings. As the most challenging gathering place of monsters, the Warcraft Mountains are one of the most dangerous places in the Doqi continent. It is impossible for people with low strength to come to Tiange Pavilion for auction. This also saves some weak people from coming to the auction. Li Xiao ate the special fruits offered by the Jiama Empire, and he also wished that these guys would auction off more gold coins. Only in this way could he earn more. There are only a few months before the task assigned by the system, so I must take this opportunity to get more gold coins as soon as possible. Since everyone has discussed it, then, the starting price of this Longyu Naring is 3,000 million gold coins, and the price increase will not be less than 300 million each time. What, so expensive? Damn, it's not cutting leaks. It's too expensive. It's 3,000 million yuan, which is faster than robbing banks. People on the 1st floor cast dissatisfied words one after another. Obviously, this group of people not only wanted to get this ring, but also wanted to buy it at the lowest price. If everyone in the world is like this, how can Dengtian Pavilion make money? Shut up the fuck. A Dou Wang on the second floor yelled loudly, "What are you? You are barking and mourning in a sacred and inviolable place like Dengtian Pavilion. If you don't like it, tell me. Get out, don't interfere with the big men's bidding here." End of this chapter. Chapter 70 The Fierce Auction Among the Strong Fighters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as these words came out, the arena suddenly became quieter. Most of the people sitting on the first floor are fighting spirits, and there are very few people above fighting kings. After being yelled at like this, the original complaints disappeared. However, the insults in their hearts still haven't stopped. Maybe they can only use the insults in their hearts to relieve the previous embarrassment. Yafei nodded and smiled slightly. Everyone, be safe and don't be impatient. Everyone on the field must know the role of the ring. A few small cubes of rings are worth 100,000 on the other side, let alone 1,000 cubic meters of high-end rings. 3,000 million gold coins is already the lowest price. If everyone doesn't like it, then the ring will be returned and the auction will not continue. Yuan Yi, the owner of the 8 doors, stood up and cursed at the boys on the first floor. "If I hear you speak rudely again, please don't blame me for being rude to you. Get out if you can't make the bid, otherwise the auction will end, and I, 8 gates, will personally deal with you guys." This sentence made those irritable people speechless, and even said that some people hurriedly turned around and left, for fear that after the auction was over, this group of powerful people would slaughter them inhumanely. In fact, this is the most annoying thing about auctions. As the owner of the 8 gates, Yuan Yi is quite aware of the seriousness of this matter. Once the auctioned items are questioned, neither the auction nor the auctioneer can hold it up. Light, Medicine Emperor Han Feng stood up and said, "In that case, I offer 300 million gold coins." "Boy, you already have a high-level ring, and this old man is bound to get this long Yu ring." The old ghost-picking stars stood up and stared indifferently at Han Feng on the 3rd floor. Although the importance of receiving rings is not high, it is still very useful to carry something special, especially receiving rings of this level. If you miss it, you will never want to get it in this life. 4,000 gold coins. Seeing the other party's direct bid of 4,000 million gold coins, Han Feng, the Medicine Emperor of the Black Horn region, couldn't help but twitch his mouth. He knew very well that it was impossible for the old ghost who picked up the stars to give him the ring of Long Yu Na, so he simply wouldn't buy it anymore. Let's fight for it. Anyway, he still has a high-level ring. Seeing that the Medicine Emperor Han Feng gave up the auction of the ring, the old ghost who picked up the stars had a sneer on his face. This kid is quite sensible, and he actually knows that a person who knows current affairs is a hero. If the price continues to increase, it will be regarded as disrespect of the Soul Palace, which is definitely not a clear move for any force. You must know that behind the Soul Palace is the Soul Clan, one of the 8 ancient clans, and their patriarch is a peak 9-star Dou Sheng. Even other families have to give the Soul Palace a little bit of shame. However, Tang Zhen, the owner of the Fenyan Valley, did not intend to hand over the Long Yu Neji to the Soul Hall. "I'm sorry, old ghost picking stars, but I also like this Long Yu Neji. 45 million gold coins." Hearing this sentence, the old ghost picking stars suddenly shifted his gaze from Han Feng to Tang Zhen, blew his beard and stared and said, "Tang Zhen, you know the power behind me and dare to snatch it. Why, you really think is there no one left in my Soul Hall? Your Soul Palace is indeed powerful, but there are auction rules. Why do you want to violate them? Others are afraid of the Soul Palace, but he is not. They are the founders of Fenyan Valley, Xiao Xian, Gu Yuan, Hun Tiandi, and the ancestor of Danta, and they are also known as the 5 great powerhouses in ancient times, one of the 5 ancient superpowers thousands of years ago. Unlike Xiao Xian, Gu Yuan, and Emperor Hun Tian, the ancestor of Fenyangu did not have the blood of Emperor Dou, and cultivated to the peak of 9-star fighting saint purely by his own efforts. The friendship with Xiao Xian was so good that Xiao Xian left the heaven. Fire 3 profound changes he created in Fenyan Valley. The expression of the old ghost-picking stars slowly changed a little. Seeing Tang Zhen's haughty look, he muttered in his heart, Could it be that Fenyangu still has a fighting saint? It stands to reason. Since the fall of their ancestor, Fenyangu's strength has dropped significantly, and now he is the only one in the 5-star Dozuan realm. In fact, it is not the case. Perhaps for others, the most powerful person in Fenyan Valley today is Tang Zhen of the 5-star Dozun, but there is also a strong Dou Xing in this valley, and this fighting saint is the supreme elder of Fenyan Valley, named Patriarch Qiyun. You know, in the Zhongzhou of Nuoda, if you have a little relationship with the holy word in the realm, let alone in Zhongzhou, you can call the wind and call the rain, basically walk sideways, it doesn't matter. After all, such a large sect that has existed for a long time basically has half-holy level old monster sitting in it. At the beginning, this Huiyuan patriarch was actually a semi-holy cultivator. However, due to the long-term retreat, people outside thought that he had fallen. After all, in terms of age, this Huiyuan patriarch, but they are much older than those semi-saints of other forces. But what they never expected was that the Huiyuan patriarch was not only still alive, he even broke through to Dou Xing, but like Tang Zhen, he also knew that the sect with Dou Xing would definitely be coveted by the Soul Hall, so, in fact, Fenyangu kept a low profile in many matters in Zhongzhou. After all, if Patriarch Huiyuan appeared directly, he would definitely push Fenyangu to overtake other big forces. In the future, it will definitely become the strongest sect under the Soul Palace and the Pill Tower, which is definitely something that the Soul Palace does not want to see, and Tang Zhen also knows that there is a Soul clan behind the Soul Palace. After all, the founder of Fenyan Valley, Ancestor Fenyan, was a strong man in the same period as Xiao Xian, and the two were even close friends. But when he saw that Tang Zhen wanted this Long Yuneji, the star-seeking old ghost, he couldn't help showing a bit of determination, and subconsciously voted. Master Tang Zhengu, could it be that the old guy from Fenyan Valley has recovered? Humph. Tang Zhen snorted coldly. Although I, Fenyangu, are not as good as Soul Palace, it doesn't mean that I am afraid of you. Seeing Tang Zhen like this, the old ghost-picking stars heaved a sigh of relief, because if the other party had a Dou Xing, it would be absolutely impossible to speak like this, but directly cursed and greeted the 18th generation of his ancestors. Which one of the forces with Dou Xing is not the pinnacle? Now that there is no Dou Xing in Fenyan Valley, I feel a lot better. Jia, Tang Zhen, I was thinking of giving you a little favor, but now it seems that you don't have the qualifications. That the old ghost who picked up the stars sneered again and again. The guardian duck next to him couldn't help but ask, Lord Tianzuan, is there someone strong in Fenyan Valley to help? That the old ghost Jiaxing said confidently. Looking at his appearance, he should have been dazzled by Long Yuneji, but in fact he is just a poor person who is lingering in this world. Don't worry about bidding, I don't believe it. A down-and-out Fenyangu can still be my opponent in the Soul Palace. End of this chapter.